Okay, we're back at it today. So basically, I have block sanded everything up to the body lines. You can see I didn't get too close. And so now I'm ready to start my DA work. I'm going to start with 2,000, 3,000, and then ultimately finishing with 4,000. This will start to bring some of the shine back, but really what you're trying to do is just get the scratches out of it. Now, it's really hard to see any scratches, but I got to assume there's some here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wet the surface down. I've got my DA set up with I put a new interface pad on it just to be sure. And these discs actually have a little bit of a foam backing of their own. So you can see there's a little foam on those. So the idea being now, I'm going to wet this pad down, I'm going to wet the panel down, and then I'm just going to start working this very slowly at a low speed on the DA. Now, because I want to protect the edges in case I, get off, I don't want to get into the other panel. So I've masked around the outside edge a little bit, and I can generally try to stay away from the inside edge as much as it need be. So I'm not too worried about that. When I get to body lines, that'll be a slightly different story. So we'll cover that when we get there. But because I'm having to tape off and do all this stuff, I'm going to go through all the grits on each area so that when I'm done, the 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 on this trunk deck, this deck will be done and ready for buffing. So, in finishing the cut phase. So that's kind of the way I'm going to approach this. I've got my bottle of water here. When I get into, that's not my bottle of water. Where'd it go? Ruh-roh. Oh, it's over there. When I get through this phase, then we'll get ready to start, with the buffing and the compounds and all of that. But for right now, this is kind of where I'm getting started. Okay, so I'll give this a little spritz on the face of the pad. Don't go too crazy. Then I'm just going to start a small area over here. And I'll start on this side just so we can kind of see what the difference is. And for each phase, I'm going to start on one side and work my way to the other. And between each grit, I'm also going to wipe it down again and clean it off. So, yeah, set that right there. All right, so here we go. So always start with your pad on the surface. Don't get it spun up and then drive it on. Again, we're not going too crazy. Trying to keep your pad flat on the surface at all times. If you got a contour, you want to be going against the contour, not with it. So like this arch right here, I'm going this way. I would never go this way. And again, I'm trying to lay off the edges. I don't really want to be on an edge at all. And this is 2,000 grit. I mean, this is really light sandpaper. You can barely tell it's sandpaper. It's cutting nice. Feels nice and smooth. I don't feel any drag whatsoever. Yeah. See, I got to be careful of that. I didn't actually hit it, but I did drag some foam over there. All right, let's just take a second, wipe that off so we can see the progress. I'll be a little careful about where you set the DA down too, because I don't want to get into a situation where I'm picking up dirt on my DA. That would be catastrophic. Okay, so I stopped right about in the middle. Let's see if we can even see a difference yet. Shouldn't have wet this side down, I guess. Louis at First Generation Garage brought up a good point. Get yourself a rubber squeegee, and this comes off a lot easier. Dries quicker. I have some. I'm just too lazy to dig them out. All right, so let's have a look here. Give that a second. You can see where I stopped right here. Starting to, just smooth up a little bit. It's nothing crazy yet. So it's very hard to tell the difference. But from like here over, that's where I stopped sanding. So yeah, I'm just going to continue on, and I'll bring you back when I get to the next layers. All right, so this is after 3,000 grit. You can see it's starting to get a little bit of its luster back. You can start to see reflections in it again. Whereas up here, it's still the 1,000 grit blocking. It's dead. So I'm gonna keep hitting this now. I'm gonna move up to 4,000. I think this right here is probably totally buffable at this point. But why not? Let's just get it as good as we can get it. I don't see any remnants of scratches or anything from the 1,000 grit on here, so I'm pretty happy with that. Like I said, I'm gonna hit it with 4,000 now and just keep an eye on things. All right, so that's 4,000 grit. You can see it's starting to really, it's pretty smooth. I don't see any scratches. I still see a little bit of gloss around the edges, which is what you want. You let the buffer take care of that. But yeah, I think I've accomplished my mission here. So what I'm going to do now is replicate this all the way around the car. Don't really have anything else to add to this. I think what I'm finding though is you don't want too much soap in your water because it tends to lubricate that pad. So I'm going to use a little less soap moving forward, but you can quite clearly see the difference between here and here, or at least I can by eye. It's starting to get some of its luster back. This is still fairly dull. Same thing in here. You can kind of see that this is considerably smoother than that. Now these areas through here are going to be tricky. I got to work my way down through there. I might have to do some hand sanding, but what I'm going to plan to do is open the trunk and then just kind of work my way through here. But that's my goal right now. So yeah, do the whole car again. Here we go. Okay, I'm working my way through it. If you want to get a good feel for the difference between the 1,000 and the 4,000, look at that. I stopped at the end of the door, obviously. So you can see I'm in a really good place to start buffing at this point. So just gonna keep moving around the car. I've got the top deck, the filler panel done. Still got some dust on it, but it's, hope that's dust. Yeah. So I've got the top panels done this quarter. I'm headed down this side, then I'm gonna come back and go down the other side. So that's my plan. This is actually going pretty easy compared to all the block sanding. So, but that's your difference between a 4,000 grit finish and a 1,000 grit finish right there. So the DA is definitely doing this thing. I don't see any scratches. Everything will buff out nicely from that phase. So I'm pretty excited about it. Be good to get this part done. So anyway, all right, that's it. Everything is cut down. Still got to wipe that apparently. Everything is cut now and ready to start buffing. I feel pretty good about it. I think it all came out very, very good. I don't see any scratches. Hood looks good. All my trash came out nice. Yeah, I think I'm ready. So probably tomorrow I'll start buffing this thing, see how that goes. Gonna do that in a few stages too. So we'll cover all that. But yeah, again, I'm not the most experienced person at this, but I kind of do things slow and methodical in the safe way. So I've kind of figured this is the safest way. Used quite a few of these little pads. They don't last quite as long as a normal piece of sandpaper, and it's super hard to tell when they're actually not functional anymore. So I just started doing one pad every 2 panels, and said close enough. But they seem to do the job. I'm starting to, the orange peel's gone. It all looks good. So we'll see how it comes out when I start buffing. But I'm going to wrap this one up here, and hopefully in a couple days you'll see one for the buff and polish.